let me show you this interesting case that I'm working on. I'll give you the backstory, but I'm going to share the screen so you can take a look at it. As I talk, think about the impressions of this individual. This is a woman. This is a woman. And what we're looking for is any evidence this woman is a scam artist or is not a truth teller. Okay? So take a look at that handwriting. Very interesting, right? We'll zoom out a little bit. So look at the margins, look at the zones. It's all pretty consistent, right? I'll zoom in real close. Sorry, it's a little fuzzy. Sorry about the resolution, but sometimes that. Look at these big round M's. I mean, that's a rounded M. I would say she's about as sharp as a bowling ball. What do you think, Christy?
That sounds good.
I love that metaphor. You're welcome to use it. It's a very, very sharp individual. Now, I wouldn't say that to her face, and here's why. She would accuse me of getting her pregnant and then sue me. We don't want that, especially since I've never met her in person, but that's not going to stop her from saying I got her pregnant. Come on. It's a reality show. So here's the skedaddle on this one. This is a juicy story. Got an email from a reporter. Hey, Netter. Hold on. That was not the right file.
But she had round O's and they look like very honest or circular O's.
Well, wait till you hear the story. You may have to rethink that analysis. Okay. Now, this is the assignment. This woman, and I'll summarize it for you. So Megan sent me I'm not making this. Her name is Megan Fox, is the reporter. Actually, pretty good reporter. Different than the movie star Megan Fox. So just in case my girlfriend's listening, the movie star Megan Fox did not email me today. Just to be clear, although I do not think the original movie star Megan Fox is any sharper than a bowling ball, but I would take her call, to be honest with you. She's very, very cute. Okay, so Laura Owens is the writer of the middle handwriting. Laura Owens is a woman that was on a reality show called The Bachelor. Does anybody know what the show is? If you're in America, you probably have heard of it. I can tell you my mother probably watches it. There's a bachelor named Clayton Echard, Echard. And this guy did this TV show, won the rose, went on a date with this girl, didn't pick her. I think he didn't pick her. And then he forgot about it. He never had sex with her, but whatever, he may have fooled around. So apparently she called him and said, I'm pregnant and we have to talk about this and I want exclusivity. He's like, babe, I didn't even sleep with you. Like, I'm not going to, there's no way I got you pregnant. So she swears he got her pregnant, even though she admits they never had sex. So this young man who was on a TV show has spent $60,000 in court defending himself against the allegations that he abused him. He abused her. And so what this woman wanted to know is, she wanted to know if the note that she said was handed to her by a witness, did she write it herself or did someone else write it? That's the assignment. And so what you're looking at is sort of the note from a friend, quote, hey, young lady, I saw it. I feel so bad for you. I can't believe that he, was that much of a jerk to you. And the reporter suspects that she wrote her own note. Now, obviously, this is more of a document examining case, but I thought you would find it interesting. Laura is her name. She also has a TED Talk on how many men have abused her in her life. It's actually quite sad to watch. It almost looks like she's crying in every sentence. However, when you listen to this guy's story, he never abused her. He didn't even have sex with her. He just didn't want to go on a third date. So does anybody have any ideas about her temperament or personality, her character? Unmute yourself and just talk. You don't need to raise your hand.
It's all a middle zone writing.
Now tell people that are new what that means. You're correct, but what does that mean?
It simply means they don't plan. I mean, they don't have an ability to plan ahead of 5 years down the line, 10 years down the line. But today is the day that they want to live for.
Right. So whatever opportunity is in front of them, they take it.
Yeah.
Right. So would you call that mature or immature?
Immature.
Totally mature. Would you think this woman is a genius or kind of a dumbass?
She's not. I mean,
No one's going to use that word. You guys
that
are
is
so
slow.
nice.
That is
You guys
slow
are
in the writing.
slow diplomatic. You won't do it. Well, you won't use a bad word. She's not very bright. At least that's how I see it. Now, that doesn't mean she can't be methodical. That doesn't mean she can't be good in school, but I'm not seeing it. I'm just, it's not blowing my mind of her deep level of intellect. Does anybody, am I wrong about this? I don't want to be judgmental, but I'm not seeing a deep level of intellect.
Didn't we used to call this a bimbo writing?
We did, but I don't think the new generation are allowed to say that.
Okay.
See, when I made that joke when I was 25, I love bimbos. That was a compliment. Apparently, everybody's so sensitive you can't call it a bimbo.
Fun to be with, and something like that.
Usually,
Well,
if someone
childish then.
So we're just being mindful of the language. But I think bimbo handwriting is pretty funny, Diane. What it generally means is they're out to have sex. They're not really thinking about the future. They're kind of playing full in the moment. They're just a good time girl. And that is actually a whole category called OnlyFans these days. So I'm sure there's no judgment here.
So
We're kind of family here, aren't we?
I have a question for you. The handwriting on the right or left, does that mean anything?
Well, the handwriting on the right and left is the note the reporter wanted me to determine who wrote it. And so her theory was, we think the bimbo wrote the note to herself just to manufacture evidence for this court trial. He's obviously trying to get money or something from this guy. But if you watch the interviews, I watched part of the interview she sent me, and I'll put it in the chat file. He goes into massive detail on the fact that he didn't even have sex with her. Like, he didn't. And she's like, oh yeah, but you know, it got on my hands, got on my clothes, and then it got inside me. And he's like, woman, are you insane? And so he's dealing with this all through like the problems of this. And I thought it'd be fascinating. So Freddie, my assignment was not to determine if she's a bimbo or not, although that might be the story that gets printed because it's more funny. It's did she write these notes which sort of help her cause? Do you have an opinion on that?
I do. I have a couple of things. I've been doing, as I mentioned to you Bart, several months ago, I've been doing handwriting analysis for many years as a hobby, but I've never ran across a system so comprehensive like yours.
Well, thank you.
That's a very compliment. But if I look at that handwriting, I remember getting a postcard from my sister, who was married about 15 years at the time, and went to Hawaii for this wonderful vacation. And we're having an amazing time. Everything is wonderful. And the words wonderful were in all caps and amazing with all caps, and they were both underlined. That shows, usually in handwriting, that there was some kind of conflict in her mind when she wrote that. When she got back, within a month, they got divorced. So I think if you look at that middle line there, it's not a speeding word, but it's halfway down. The word every is underlined. The word every time. See it every time.
So you think she's lying because she emphasized it?
I do. And there's another proverb that I remember because I've studied proverbs for a long time. I'm not talking about the Bible necessarily. It could be a lot of things. But she, so I don't know what your system does, but you look at the fourth line down on the right, it says, choking in it for the first 6 months. The T is low self-esteem, and it's chanted. A chanted T, I always understood as it's being very unfulfilled.
Unfulfilling.
Yeah, up one line. The first 6 months. You were there, a little bit lower. Yep. And she has the T bar on the word months off to the right, and that can show fluency of thought or it can show a temper.
I think it shows both. I think you're 100%
Yeah,
correct.
and she's
Yeah.
pissed. And I think she might be the kind of woman that no one gets to tell her no. You
So-
just don't.
So if you have a
You
low
don't-
self-esteem and you get told no and you're defensive and you have a temper,
Oh, it's brutal.
you're going to blame someone else. And if there's no consequences for your actions because you have this big fluffy handwriting, whatever. Now,
Yeah,
one of the
yeah.
odd things about this that we have to consider, and I put the links in the chat so you can research this, she doesn't have lying loops. But by any stretch of the imaginations, she's lying about this guy, right? Like it
Yeah.
seems odd. And here's the thing: when people don't have an upper zone, they don't have a sense of right and wrong. There's no guilt. They're not getting right and wrong from here. They're getting it from whatever is around them. If they're in a Christian school, if they're in a nice Jewish school, they're going to be good, right? This person could have been great if she was in Catholic school until she's 18, but then you let her out in the wild and she becomes a stripper. Because there's not internal moral compasses. They were coming from the outside if they were ever at all. So that's the definition of immaturity. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that they're overly sexual, they're going to lie, but there's a lack of internal moral compass with this type of writing. Freddie, that's fascinating. I like that.
Yeah. So I think that she really emphasizes every time. I think that's a red flag for me just doing that. Then she's going more and more into the story. And the bigger people, and I used to have an embroidery company, had about 110 employees. When I sold it, I did it from 84 to 99. And when I would have employee disputes, I would make them write down what happened on 2 pages of paper in handwriting, if they could. I could tell within seconds who was lying. You know, so-and-so took this, so-and-so took that. You know, and it's pretty amazing. I would like to see some of her cursive writing, if there's any of that around, because then you'll be able to really blow her fraudulent behavior to bits.
So let me comment on what you just said, and then I'll move to the rest of the writing. Is you are actually defining what this woman named Faith did at a conference like 15 years ago on criminal interrogative techniques. So they were basically looking at handwriting from criminals or accused criminals at the spacing and underlining and the patterns that showed up when they remembered things. And so you're getting into really a specific skill set, which is definitely not covered in the 301. I've only had one lecture on it from this Canadian police person. But I think what you're saying, Freddie, is really insightful and useful. Maybe you could do a class on it for us. I could probably find the notes.
I'd be happy to share.
Yeah, because stuff like this is sort of like criminal, but it's not really forensic document examination because that's the authorship. And yet it's not really psychology. It's somewhere in between of like, wow, is this person telling the truth or not? And when you read about this kid, this young man, you'll feel sorry for him. Make sure you see the notes in the chat. I put the links there to the articles there. Okay, Freddie. Go ahead.
The last thing I was going to ask you about is where do I find all this stuff? You know,
there's a chat button along the bottom here.
Okay.
And in the chat box, there is a bunch of links that we've been posting. We've been chatting behind your back. The girls are telling me how handsome you are and how they like the way your head shines. And they wanted your phone number. This has all been happening behind your back. So if you can find the chat room, you can have their phone numbers.
Pick on someone in your own side part. Oh, little guy. Anyway, is there a way I can print all this or no?
Freddie, I'm not the Zoom guy, but we'll hang on here so we can get you some help.
Okay.
Well, can someone send that to Freddie? I think if you cut and paste it into a document, Freddie, we'll make sure we get it.
Okay.
So
my email is fmcgabber@gmail.com. That's legal.
Can somebody do that for me? Anybody?
Yeah.
Graciela, Diane, would you email that to him?
Yeah, it's FM, or she can send the Bart, he'll back all the
Say it
better.
again.
That happened before.
FMC.
Maybe I think.
It's FMCG as in Georgia, A-V as in Vermont, ER @gmail.com. F. McGavver. My name is Freddie.
Okay.
McGavran.
Thanks for your patience.
And Freddie, next time we're going to have to teach you how to use the chat room since we're not actually your secretaries, but we do want to help you.
My father-in-law just died on Monday, and my wife is coming in and out of here, and she is having a challenge.
We're happy you're here, Freddie. We'll be glad to do it for you. We're happy.
I had to get up 4 or 5 times. I don't want to be a
Okay.
distraction. I thank you for your patience.
No, we love having you here. So let me tell you, I had the same question you did. I said, Miss Reporter, the handwriting you're looking at is cursive. All you show me is one note of this bimbo's handwriting, but it's not cursive. Now, I didn't say that, but I thought it. And she said, here's the thing, we'll get you more handwriting. And she gave me all this handwriting. And none of it, Freddie, is in cursive.
Okay.
This is how that bimbo writes.
I think she's done.
So do you think...
I think you got your answer.
Do you think if we wait and wait and wait, we're going to find some handwriting that might be cursive and might match that note?
I think the printing matches already.
So let's revisit the question.
I mean, her 2 lower zones, that's all it really is. There's no upper zone to speak of.
Let's answer the question. Does the handwriting on the left match the bimbo's handwriting on the right?
No.
No.
Now I understand we didn't train you for this, so there is no wrong answer.
No, but I can see a couple of things, but the one T-bar, the word that right there.
The K's different. You got a loop in the D. You've got upper zones. You got lower zones. Look at this Y. You've got like upper zones in the F. Like this woman has no upper zones.
But
all you have is...
Look at the word that. Take the word that right there. That one. And go over to the right side. 4th line down.
Yeah.
On the right, the word that. 4th line down to the right. 3rd letter from the right. That, this. Those are identical.
Identical or similar? Because I don't see a high T-bar anywhere.
I'll say similar. Yeah, she spaces the letters out pretty wide.
Unless she has a split personality.
It could very well be.
She takes one personality to write one.
It's a fair question. There's only a few ways to write that. The connected letters is important. Freddie, I think that on this writer on the left, she drags her pen into that persistent stroke. I don't see the dragging of the pen in that on the right. And I also don't see any T-bars that are particularly high in the writing on the right, which is the bimbo writing. So right there, I'm like, wow, there's something not jiving for me. I'm also haven't seen too many people that convert back and forth between this kind of printing and cursive and don't look very similar, meaning bubbly, rounded, and compressed. So my initial opinion is I think she probably had a friend write it, or her story is legit, like she just wrote it. But it didn't scream to me like she's the author of this note, which is probably not what the writer wants to hear because she's trying to make a cool story. But to me, it was definitely a female. Like, I think we can agree that there's 2 females here. But I just don't see the level of rounded, slow, and almost, I hate to use this word, lacks mental acuity. Like the person on the right just doesn't have everything firing together. The person on the left has fluidity of thinking, connectedness. Like there's a level of maturity there.
There's even more generosity that shows in the way the letters are spaced, whereas in all the printing there, the letters are all jammed together.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue, like an amateur would say, well, look, this Y is the same and that Y is the same. Therefore, it's the same writer. Like, it's got to all be congruent. Like, it's got to be 80, 90% congruent. And then the exceptions you have to explain. So I'm just I haven't looked at it too much, but I thought it would bring it to class, could be fun. I wasn't convinced it was the same writer. It just, to me, there was a lot of differences that would probably give her the benefit.
But what does it mean that a down slanted T-bar, but to the left? Because the T's have like a...
Yeah, the word notch.
Down slanted, but to the left.
You mean here?
No, the word, go to the right
Yes.
about, next line down, to the right to the edge of your thing. The word not.
Terrified also, terrified.
I don't see what you guys are talking about. Terrified. I don't see a T that's going to the left. I see a T that is slanting up. Do you think that's a backwards T? Because here,
No, the one in the word not on the top line, the word not is definitely slant to the left.
Uh-huh.
yeah, I disagree with you. I would say we don't know if it's slanted to the left. I have never met anyone who slants some T-bars right and then other T-bars backwards. And if you guys have, please introduce me. I think we're perceiving it as slanting to the left when it's just tilted. And tilted would be optimism if it was just on its own.
Look, I just.
Are they asking if the T was crossed from the right back to the left?
That's what a student is asking here.
Oh, I don't think so.
Well, what I'm saying is it's usually a left-handed person and they all do all of them consistently. It's pretty unusual to see them, and they can relearn and they can push that T-bar, and you may have, occasionally, but it's only going to be a left-handed person if they are trying to write the way they were taught in school. But no, I think the observation was, what does that mean, crossing to the left? The first question is, let's presume that that's correct. And I don't think that's correct in this sample. If it was correct, meaning that all the T-bars are pointing to the left, that would be a form of self-withdrawal, maybe some self-punishment, maybe some sarcasm to themselves. It would go right into what the primary strokes are in class.
So, Bart, one question about
Dipankar, you got the floor.
Yeah. But one basic thing: why does the reporter wants to know if this sample has been written by the same woman? I mean, what is the connection there?
Because she's trying to take the side of the accused and say this woman is making up this whole story. Because there's a lawsuit with money and reputation on the line.
Sorry. Yeah.
His reputation is on the line as an abuser and a liar and a guy who gets someone pregnant and not take care of the kid. He didn't even have sex with her. That's his story.
No, my question is, what is the correlation between? I mean, how does one prove if it is written from by the same woman? Would that prove he did not impregnate her?
I don't think any evidence in front of us proves he didn't impregnate her. But I think they both agreed they didn't have intercourse. I don't think that's even in controversy. So Diane, you're the nurse practitioner here. You think if it rubbed off on her jeans, she can get pregnant?
Well, I'm not a nurse practitioner, but I don't think so.
No, but how would
I'll let you watch the interview. I'm not going to go into the did or did not have sex part of it.
No, not that part. But why is that? I mean, somebody has written this. Is it the same woman who has written the letter? How would that prove he has not done what he's been accused of?
If she wrote the letter and said somebody witnessed this abuse and she wrote the letter, then she's manufacturing evidence in her own case. Then she's a liar and everything else she says is a lie.
Yeah, that's a big
Point is
problem.
okay.
That's why it's relevant.
Okay.
If I come back and say, hey, it is a different person, that still doesn't mean any of it's true. She could have had her best friend write the note and hand it to her. We don't know. But if it was self-created, it's really bad for that woman's reputation. That's the point.
Yeah.
Dina, you got the last word.
Quick question. Would you consider a case a go to hell case?
I would. Both writers have really large Ks, which are defiance, which again, you push back. Not necessarily cry foul, but I used to have them. I don't have them as much anymore, but when I was young, I definitely didn't respond to authority very well. And if anybody knows me now, I still might not respond to authority very well. I think everybody here, is there anybody here not in the certification course? Marietta, are you in the basic course? Christy, I know you're in the certification. Dina, Christy. If you guys will shoot us an email, Freddie, I know you're in the course. We'll be glad to see if we can heal. Somebody just enrolled about a week ago, and he really wanted some live kind of classes like this, but I'll be glad to do a couple extra ones. So those of you that are not in the certification course, shoot me an email. I think there's a discount code going on sometime in the next month. I'll see if I can get it for you guys. We'd love to have you officially there. And for those of you that want to go into the life design prism, and that's NLP, time management, sort of a side business as a mental fitness coach. It may not be for all of you, but if you really wanted to learn that life design stuff, it'd be really cool. We want you to get the best information. As Freddie said, he's done every course on the planet, and we put together a really good course. And I'm not always here every week. There was been years I haven't been at all, but I'm going to be here every month because we're doing this podcast thing. So if you get a chance to pick my brain every month for free, go ahead and get the best information you can, at least the 101 before through the 301. And like I said, if we need to finance you or give you a discount, we will.